Okay. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. We are here for our fourth episode of Beat It, strategies to beat inflation as well. And for everyone who wants to have fun, for girls who wants to have fun, or rather, for girls who wants to have fun. Okay, so hi to our to our Instagram viewers. I shall, hold on. I think I'm having some, okay. Hi to our viewers on Instagram. So I will add our speaker.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Okay, I'm going on Instagram now. We'll just do a mic.
I've
Right.
invited you already, Miss Jocks, on Instagram.
Okay, I'm waiting for your invite though. I don't think I
I
have it
already
yet.
invited you. Okay, I will invite Mr. Salia. Okay, I've invited you both already on Instagram. Hi to our Facebook viewers. Hold on.
Okay.
Volume down.
Eunice, I'm still waiting for your invite.
Oh, okay, I will
Sorry.
press again. Okay. Wait.
Okay, so
You
right.
got it, Miss Jocks, the invite? Not yet.
Um, request to join. So let me no. Okay. I
There.
can see. Oh, okay, there you go.
Miss Jocks, just a request if you can place your volume on the lowest, like lowest or zero
Ah,
volume on Instagram.
right. Do I have to okay, I have to turn my camera around?
So for
Yes,
um
to
for
your
for your
and
phone, Jocks, just turn your volume all the way low on your phone. So
Right.
that's one step. And then just make sure your phone and your computer are away from each other.
yes.
Oh,
And
I
then
see.
yeah,
Do I put
like
my
yeah.
video on? I'll turn my
Yeah,
Yes.
you can,
Instagram video off. Right?
nope, turn it
Yes.
on.
Put your video on, Miss Jocks.
Turn it on. Okay.
Thank you so there, perfect. So hi everyone to our Instagram viewers. Hello, good evening. And we have here with us our CEO, Mr. Salia, and of course our speaker for today, Miss Jox Fantastico. So welcome once again to our fourth episode of Beat It. So if girls just want to have fun, and of course girls also would like to have fun. Everyone likes it, right? So to our Instagram viewers and to our Facebook um, viewers. So for those who are new to our live show, so this is what we call Big C Meetup Thursdays, wherein every Thursday at this time, 6:30, we invite speakers who are experts on certain topics about finances, savings, investments, and anything under it. So for those who are avid viewers of our Dixie Thursdays, thank you very much for always watching and for always tuning in. And we hope that you get to invite more viewers to watch our show every Thursday. So there, without further ado, I would like to start everything. So first of all, what is Big C? I mean, I guess some of you have been watching our lives, but probably still don't know what Big C is, right? So Big C is a platform or a app wherein it allows women to share ideas and rather to share knowledge and to learn as well about investments, fi- about investments, finance, and savings. So there, wait, hold on. I think I am having technical difficulty. Okay, so for a more accurate definition of Big C, apart from knowing it by heart, so Big C is a platform that connects women, of course, who wants to invest, who wants to save, and who wants to connect with people and have network and to have the tools to start investing. I know each and every one of us, we all love to save and we all want to invest and we want money. That's why uh, before anything else, you have to download our app. It's absolutely free, both on App Store and on Google Play. All you have to do is just scan the QR code that's flashed on our Facebook Live right now. And for those on Instagram, since we cannot flash the QR code, just simply type in Bixi on App Store and on Google Play. and it will appear and you can download it for free. And please sign up, make an account, register, explore, and use the app. Of course, it's all totally for free. But in the event that you encounter anything that would like charge you for using the app or for downloading the app, please let us know and we will take the necessary actions to apprehend those people. But then again, Big C, we are not those financial or insurance advisors that you usually talk to. We are only here to provide a platform so that we can share or you can share anything and everything under the sun about investing. So there. Uh, hmm. So for our topic right now, so there we will talk about girls want to have funds and everything about inflation right now. So without further ado, I would like to to introduce our speaker right now. Our speaker is Miss Jox Fantastico. This is not the first time that we are introducing her as our speaker. Actually, this is the second one, and she was also our guest speaker for the first topic with Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And Miss Jox Fantastico is the CEO of Olivia. So, Miss Rosalia and Miss Jox, let's keep the ball rolling and let's start this exciting Big C Thursday. So, I'll give the floor to you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eunice, for that introduction. I obviously am super thrilled to have Jux back with us. She is indeed back with us by popular demand. I'm sure a handful, hundred, if not a handful, thousand of you remember the last time Jux was with us. I very much do, because I walked away with an actual tool that I then use. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, because I think it was just one of the best investment strategies I've ever heard, because it was just so relatable. And the day after and the weeks after, we received so many testimonials from women, jokes, about how what you said really made them understand what investment is. Because, we think about things and it sounds so confusing, but the reality is we are surrounded by investment opportunities. So we'll dig a bit more into that fantastic, suggestions that she gave us. But as Eunice said, today and this month, we're talking about none other than inflation. Why? Because it is the singular topic that everybody is thinking about, worrying about, talking about, trying to figure out ways to get around it. We have a community across, all of our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, inside of the app. So absolutely join that community. And it's the number one topic on everyone's mind, because we're watching our costs increase without necessarily seeing our incomes or our salaries increase. So we really need to figure out strategies to deal with this, because it seems, from what we're gathering, it seems like this is just the status quo. So we heard you, we listened to you, and every week this month in July, we've invited experts, so financial experts, to offer up some strategies on how to beat inflation. We've had some really, really fantastic speakers. We actually summarize and provide their strategies inside of the Bixie app. So if you go inside the Bixie app and you go to Community and Live, we've summarized all of our expert speakers' tips and strategies and put them there. So download the app and you can have access. I remember I still there was this handful of course we always have amazing speakers, but there are really just a handful that hit the nail on the head. And a few weeks ago, we had one of our speakers from another company called MoneyFit, and he just broke it down. He's like, look, 4 strategies, okay? Do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can kind of circumnavigate this inflation that we are experiencing. So you can find those strategies and find those from our other experts inside of the Bixie app. But today I want to hear from Jokes. So Jokes, as Eunice mentioned, is the CEO also of another finance company that focuses on supporting women. She's also, she's done so many things, but she is an author. She's an author of many books that have helped just give really practical, tangible tools on how to kickstart your investment journey, right? Because I know that is such an intimidating thing for so many people. myself included. So thank you so much, Jokes, for being with us here today, for your time. I'm pretty sure this is going to be, so we track how many people show up to these things. I'm pretty sure this is going to be another popular event. So, you'll probably be invited back by popular demand again. But thank you so much. And let's just get into it. So, as I mentioned, this month, this year, all we're talking about is inflation. Can you maybe share some inflation beating strategies that you know of?
Right, right. Yeah, inflation is really it's really important that it's really good that you spent a whole month talking about that, because if I could cite one thing, I mean, I consider inflation as the Darth Vader of your money. It destroys everything. What you have worked for, even if you are super. In the Philippines, we have this term called kuripot. That means stingy, right? Like you would like recycle everything. You
That's
would use, gather all the soap and put it in one
that's
bottle, and
great.
not throw anything away. So even if you are that frugal or kuripot in local terms, inflation will still, you cannot beat inflation if you don't adapt certain strategies. So I hear a lot of people say, I don't need to do this and that, because anyway, I save, and I really am very frugal with my lifestyle, right? And then when you ask them, okay, now how do you save? And to this day and age, and this is, I'm not judging, a lot of people still think that keeping your money in the bank, or keeping your money in, I've seen some also who keep money cash in a drawer in the house, because it's something they can touch and feel. Again, this is no judgment. There probably has been some experiences in the past that prompted them to do so. But I mean, the single, if you were to only do one thing to beat inflation, I would say that would be, do not keep your money in a bank in the sorry in a bank account, right? There is a place for bank, or I would call that cash or near cash equivalents, a savings account. Sorry, I should correct that statement. You should not keep your money in a savings account only. You should keep what in your savings account, things like your basic expenses, business expenses, things that you will need on to live, and you will need, say maybe for 6 months. So even your emergency fund, quite a lot of it you can put in your savings account. But other than that, explore with your bank other options for keeping your money. Yeah, do
Yeah.
not keep your money in a savings account only. So there is a place and a time for savings accounts, but if you look at really long term, or even medium to long term goals, like, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, retirement, your savings account is never the place for that. So if there's only one thing, for simplicity, that they should do is, and if there's only one thing that they take away from this, is that for your goals, long term goals especially, do not put your money in a savings account.
This
I
is
hope that
really
makes sense.
important because statistically, 71% of all wealth owned by women is in cash.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have all known that. It is one of the ways that women all over the world behave when it comes to money. We put it in
Right.
cash. Like you said, Jokes, this is behavioral. It's social. Some of us even put it. I'm sure a handful of people can relate to this. My grandmother up in northern Philippines. I mean, there were things buried all over the house, right? Like it was a different time, and a lot of us have inherited these behaviors, but particularly in an era of inflation, right? Which just means that money is buying less things. That means the value of your money is going down. So if it's
Yeah.
just sitting inside of an account, not getting value, adding more interest, then you're actually losing interest, right? So if inflation is 9% and your bank gives you 1%, do the math. You're losing 8% a day
Correct.
or a year,
Yes.
depending on your
Yes.
interest. So I think it's just really, we've been trying to emphasize this month. And the reason is because we know that behaviorally, women hold 71% of their assets in cash.
Wow.
So we need to like shake ourselves out of this behavior, really, and start exploring other places to store our wealth that's not just a bank account. So I think
That's true.
again,
And just to add to that, think of beating inflation like, choosing a vehicle. So if inflation is a motorbike, for goodness sake, if you're going to go on a motorbike, then you'll just go on inflation. It means that go at par with inflation, right? But if you choose an even worse vehicle, like a tuk-tuk or a tricycle in the Philippines, then you're definitely not beating inflation. So to
Yeah.
beat that tricycle of inflation, or the motorbike that's called inflation, you need to choose, a car, a sedan. Depending on your level of risk profile, you may choose a sedan if you're more conservative, a Ferrari if you're really aggressive. It will get you there faster. It will get you to your goals faster if you choose a Ferrari, right? Your destination. But the most important thing is you don't need to beat everyone else. You only need to beat inflation, right?
Yeah, exactly. So again, remember that if inflation is 9%, so let's say 9 miles per hour, 9 kilometers per hour,
Yes,
you need to be earning money at 9 kilometers per hour. So
at
one of the investment
least. Yes.
strategies that we've been, given is ask for a raise at work. Like this is the time to say, hey, can I get 5% or 9% of a pay raise, right? Like that can help you meet it. But in addition to just trying to gain more money, maybe we can elaborate a little bit more about these investment strategies around beating inflation. So for those of you who were not fortunate enough to join us the last time Jokes met with us, she shared one of the best, like literally the best investment strategy I've ever heard in my life. She said, look, because somebody had asked, well, where do I start? Where do I want to invest, but like, where do I even start? And she said, look around you. So literally look around you. You have your Apple phone, right? You have your Hydro Flask, like look around at the things you're buying, right? I have this company's lotion. Then she gave us a website. Of course, this is all available on Google. And then you just Google the name of that company, what they list on the stock exchange, and buy that because you're already buying it. I thought that was like, it was just so tangible and so practical. And that was just it really moved the needle. It's when I think a lot of our audience and our team, you finally made investments like tangible. Like an investment product is just the extension of like a physical company, right? The company makes stuff, then they list on the stock exchange, and the more stuff they sell, the more their value goes up, right? So it was just a really easy way of thinking about what a stock is. So do you have any more of these type of tips, particularly now that the context has changed a little bit since we last met, around inflation beating? Like what can we do pragmatically to start beating inflation?
Right. Okay. Well, in addition to what you already said, if inflation is at 9% at the moment, Philippines, I think, is about between about 3.5 to about 5%, then you need to choose an instrument that goes higher than that. Normally, those are equity stocks. So that just simply means that these are companies listed on the stock exchange, and you buy shares of those. You can do always go for blue chip stocks. Blue chip stocks meaning that they have a lot of history already. They're proven. You can again find them on Google. Just Google blue chip stocks. You can also Google blue chip stocks Philippines, so you can get companies in your own in the Philippines. But what I'd like to talk about today is really more about aligning your goals to your investments.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you why, because I was talking to, in fact, I was advising someone a couple of years ago. Her name is Stella, and she bought a unit linked product, an equity linked unit linked product, and she bought it at a certain price. Okay, now what she did was 6 months later she sold some of her units. Okay, because she was going to go on vacation. Okay. Now, unfortunately, the thing with equity stocks is that over long periods of time. Say you need to keep them for about 5 years at least for you to actually benefit from the gains. Equity stocks tend to go up and down. So if you look at it on the short term, so in her case, she bought it in January, and then by June, she wanted to sell it because she wanted to go on holiday, right? It's perfectly valid. But the problem is, at that time, at that specific point in time, in June, July, the price was down, okay, because it does tend to go up and down, right? So she in fact lost money. So, and a lot of people end up actually, that's the reason why a lot of people don't invest, because they end up losing money, and they lose money because they sell at the wrong time. Okay, so remember that you need to match the goal with your investment vehicle. So if you're looking at short-term goals, now short-term goals are anywhere that is 3 years or less. Okay, long-term goals are anywhere from 5 years and onwards. So let's talk about some examples of short-term goals, right? So you have your vacation, that's a short-term goal. Okay, what else? Eunice, you can jump in here, and audience, you can jump in here as well.
A recent something that somebody recently talked about: buying a new laptop.
Buying a laptop, buying gadgets, that's absolutely short-term goals, unless you want to buy it 5 years from now, which none of us like doing. We want
Buying
to
a
change
bag,
our phones buying a
Buying a
bag.
designer bag,
Yes,
yes.
buying a
That
bag,
particular.
buying a car. Those are short-term goals, right? And you need a different instrument for that. So if you're going to look at short-term goals, you're saving up or you're investing for short-term goals, do not use equity. Do not buy stocks and shares for that, because you need to keep stocks, especially blue chip stocks, for at least 5 years. Okay, so use that for your long-term goals, and we'll talk a bit more about that when we talk about retirement. So for short-term goals, look at what they call money market funds. Okay, you can Google what money market funds are, or take it down and ask your bank to say, hey, I want to invest, but I want to invest in a money market fund. Okay, so essentially, money market funds are just very similar to cash, to savings, or even time deposits. So it's very what you call liquid. I don't want to use big words. So what it means is that you can actually sell it without losing much value. Okay, so the returns are much smaller, okay, than stocks and shares, but at least it doesn't devalue. It doesn't, it still kind of beats inflation, or it's at least on par with inflation. So short-term goals, you do not buy stocks and shares for short-term goals, because you will end up losing money. Yeah.
Okay.
Those Onitsuka Tiger sneakers that you want to buy, those are short-term goals. So please do not buy blue chip stocks to buy your Onitsuka Tiger shoes. I'm not an ambassador for Onitsuka, but
It sounds like that's on
I
your
do
wish
love
list.
them. It is on my wish list.
It's very comfortable, actually.
They're super comfy.
Yes. But I'm not
So
an ambassador as well. It's just, I will stop.
yeah, so that's really a really important thing, because yes, invest, but make sure you're matching the goal to the investment. So the goal should dictate the investment type, not the other way around, because otherwise you will definitely lose money, you will get burned, and you will never invest again. Okay, so that's for short-term goal. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to. You said two really important things, so I just kind of want to break this down for the crowd. One thing is articulating a goal, right? So
Yeah.
I think, I think it's really interesting when you say, make sure you understand the difference between long-term goal and short-term goal. I think a lot of people are like, but I've been wanting to buy this bag since I was 6. So that was a long-term goal. It's like, that's maybe, but I think maybe I would break down long-term goal more to mean, like maybe like break it down even further. So there's what I would like to have in 6 months. Maybe I've wanted
Yes,
it for 20 years, but what I'd like to have in the next 6 months, what I'd
exactly.
like to have in the next 6 years, what I'd like
Yeah.
to have in the next 60 years. So
Yeah.
instead of saying like it's long term, because I know that confuses people a lot. And this
Mm.
is a plug, but it's the reason why it's a plug. In the Bixie app, we have a goal setting function. And it is literally because of that. Because when we were doing focus groups, there was always this confusion about short-term, medium-term, long-term goals. People are like, well, I've been wanting it for a long time, so I guess it's a long-term goal. It's like, So what we've done instead is time it. When do you want this thing to come to fruition? When do you want it to come to reality? Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really kind of important. And I think the second thing you did that was really important for everybody to like take note of, matching, right?
Yeah.
So the hard step is figuring out what your long, medium, and short-term goals are. And instead of thinking of this goal, think of them as when do I want it? When do I want that thing? Then matching how you plan on getting the money for that thing with the appropriate investment strategy, right?
Yeah.
So I think and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think a lot of people, especially when crypto was getting really hyped, were thinking, oh, I'll just invest in crypto, make $1 million and like buy Onitsuko shoes and a bag and, a laptop, right? But obviously like that market has changed a lot. And there are very few things. I mean, look, a lot of things, if it seems too good to be true, right? It probably is.
Yes.
So I think what's really important is like knowing all of these different categories of like, this is a 6-month goal, potential investments, money markets, this is like a 3-year one, ETFs, like, and maybe you're probably going to articulate, but maybe we can elaborate on that. And I also think what we'll probably do as a follow-up is like list those out, like maybe create a pyramid, like the human pyramid of wants and needs. And we can Maslow pyramid it out and just give examples of like what investments match, the things that you want and when you want them. Sorry, I just wanted to break that down a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's really, thank you for fleshing that out because, I made those mistakes as well. So those are the two things really that I'd hate for you guys to do. Some goals are not so clear whether they are short term or long term. So I mean, retirement is definitely long term unless you want to retire in in the next 3 years or the next 6 months, which is another whole other live stream again. But so retirement, that's normally long term. Things like buying a house, that's probably long term. But when it comes to, say, your child's education, that is interesting because there's your child's education for elementary. So depending on what the age of your child now. So your child doesn't like, especially if they're in school age, they are going to school now, right? But then there's also the college education. So that's a long-term goal. So you need to even break it down further. When it comes to things like education, what is short-term and what is long-term. So don't just do, okay, this is my child's education fund, and let's put it here, but let's invest it in an ETF or stocks and shares. But you're actually intending for it to be, for her high school education in 3 years. So that's not going to work. So so break it down even further because actually those things matter. What is long term and what is short term?
I also really just want to elaborate on like long and short term. So the average Bixie user is 33 years old. 33 years old, urban, and a professional or a small business owner. So we are smack dab in the middle of millennials. Okay.
Yeah.
So millennials, what do we know about us? I'm a millennial, an older one, but I'm a millennial. Timelines for us are very different. Long-term is like being in a long-term relationship is like, oh my God, we dated for 3 months, right? Like I think short, medium, long term has attention spans are a little bit distinct, right?
Right.
So I wonder, and when you say retirement, a lot of the things we focus on at Bixie is not actually retirement because it seems so far away, right? And the perception that it's so far away actually makes people underestimate it because we overestimate what's immediately in front of us. So what we often say is like, don't think about it as retirement. Think about it as I want to be able to do whatever I want for the rest of my life. Right. Yep. So it's a lot of it's like FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. The idea is, and so I think, what Jux is bringing up is like, look, I know that a lot of you think retirement, I'm never going to get there. Look, we're all going to get there. Okay. But let's even just call it, I want to do whatever I want. I want to be a K-pop star next year. Can I afford it? Can I afford to quit my job and travel all around the world for the next 10 years? That is having that as a goal. like you need to work backwards from that,
Right.
right? So I just want to
Yeah.
underline that that's our audience. So,
No, that's really interesting because you're actually average age of 33. That's around the time that you're making major life decisions, and a lot of major things are happening to you as well, whether you like it or not. If you talk about football, the tackles are coming now. You're making
so
decisions about do you take this job? You probably have a partner. You're having kids. Yeah, that's one thing just a side discussion. What it's to me, it's not, what I've seen is that it's not about the age but the stage. Okay, so what I've seen happen, yes, so it's not about the age, it's the stage. Because so the hashtag, yeah, it's the it's the stage, not the age. So I've observed that even if you're the same age, so you're both 30s, but you don't have kids. So two girls, both 30s, one has children, one doesn't. So the one who doesn't have children still acts and spends, and the mindset is still like she's single, or I'm in my 20s. But the moment you have kids, bam, suddenly you're thinking like a 40, 50-year old. So yes, it's interesting that it's 33, but 30, 33 years old, but it's also important to see what stage of life they're in. So you will have a mix of those in the community. So yeah, sorry, that was a side thing.
no, I love that. Our favorite things are the tangents, because it's not a tangent. You know, one of the reasons why Bixie, I think, became so when we set out Bixie, we wanted to actually, that was our age demographic that we wanted to reach, kind of, millennials, because of that, they're in that key, professional stage. What we found was surprising was we actually got exactly that woman to onboard, right? That seldom happens in the world of business and startups for anybody watching, that you actually get what you ask.
Yes.
But one of the reasons why that was an interesting target for us is because globally, I don't know if you know this, the UN Women issued a global report a couple of years ago that basically showed that women across the world in global South, so like Africa, Asia, and LATAM, were getting married increasingly less, and we're having children increasingly less. So what that means is the onus of our financial responsibilities are on us.
Yeah.
So 30s and 40s, if you're single, you have to figure out how to pay all of your bills. Like, one of the advantages of being married is like, hey, you get to split everything, 2 incomes, 2 splits, right? You don't get that when you're single. And yes, having children, absolutely. I just had my first. It kind of to financial responsibility. But also the flip side is, when I'm old and gray, hopefully if she's if I'm nice to her, she'll support me in my old age, which again, something that single childless women, this option isn't necessarily there. And so one of the things that we see a lot in our community is a lot of stress around that. And it's not just our community, this is actually happening all over the world, where you have women who are like, look, this is a demographic shift that has completely changed, right? From our mothers and our grandmothers. We kind of have to be like sisters doing it for ourselves. And so to get to the age of 33, which is, like you said, it's such a pivotal career year, financial year, decision-making year. That is probably why that is our average age, because they're like, oh my gosh, looking around and thinking, I've got to get my act together, because if this is it, then I have to be, I have to be my husband, my child, my caretaker, my earner, my getter, right? And a lot of the thing is, I also, it's not your stage, it's your age. A lot of the systems around us, home ownership, investing up the asset ladder, those were created for married people with kids, right?
Oh, that's interesting. That is so true.
Yeah, home loans, right? Like, where's the double income? There's so many things. And so who we are, our demographic really has to be super savvy and figure out, because the systems haven't changed yet, right? Like the home loan application is still asking the same questions. So we have to be extra savvy about figuring out how we're going to come up with even more money for taking care of ourselves and preparing ourselves for our kind of advanced years. So yeah, I don't think it was a tangent. It's just so pertinent. And then of course the added stress. Now it's like, okay, I finally got myself together. Wait, inflation? So
yes.
Right? So it's like, I finally feel like I'm getting my act together. I download Mixie app, going to meetups. I've been implementing the strategy. Now it's like, okay, now I have to deal with like,
Yeah.
one
Darth
step back,
Vader. Yes.
right? Darth Vader. Okay, so all that being said, walk me through goals. So if you're telling me, okay, the key to beating Darth Vader is being really serious and intentional about your goals and knowledgeable about your goals. Where do I start? Walk me through.
Right. So the first thing is just write down your financial goals. I think the Bixi app, and in fact, I've done some screenshots later on, so I'll bring the community through I've also put in two goals there. One is a short-term goal. I'm looking to buy a keyboard, and both are short-term goals actually. So I'm going to bring them through it. So just really think about your financial goals, and it's not so difficult to do so because everything is has money in it, right? So I'm really into music. I want to buy my Diviale speakers. That's a goal, right? It's not only about serious stuff. It's not only retirement planning for buying a car, a home. Those are goals, but there are also more short term or closer to home goals, like things you want to buy. So you just articulate them, your wish list. Look at your cart in the e-commerce, your favorite e-commerce store. That's a goal.
Yeah.
Just think about where your milestones, what you want to hit, and from there, write down your goals. And then, as I mentioned earlier, differentiate between the short/medium, and the long-term goals, right? Because that really determines what kind of instrument and what you need to be doing. So,
Can you
first thing, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so write it down, in no particular order, just as anything that comes to mind, and then put it down and classify it into short to medium term and long term goals. So that's it. That's step number 1 and 2 taken care of. Sorry, Rosalia, you have a question?
No, yeah, actually, can you tell me what is a short-term goal?
Right.
What is a long-term? So 1 month, 1 to 6 months would be short-term?
Right. Okay, so up to 3 years, that's short term. Yes. Up to 3 years is short
Hello,
term.
millenniums.
Yes, I'm so sorry to drop this on you on a Thursday night.
What's like a
3 years is short term, huh?
So like,
Sorry.
what if I want something for Christmas? What is that, like a uber short-term goal? Like,
Oh, but that's a nano short term. Yes, that is a super short term.
okay,
Which you can
so
still, you should still
this is so good.
save for or set aside money for. But yeah, so sorry, it's 3 years. Anything less than 3 years is short term. And things about 5 years, anything about 3 years, 5 years, those are your long term goals, right? So
Wow.
yeah.
This is so funny. All right, so that's a big moment, everybody. Goal is 3 years. And so let us be just aware. A nano goal is in the next sentence. Yeah. Okay. This is really good. Really good.
Yes. So things like your travel, you want to go to Europe end of next year, that is a short-term goal. Yeah. Because it's less than 3 years. So yeah, just separate them and realize that it's short-term goals. Second is it made all my goals short-term. Yes, Bill was saying that it made all her goals short-term. Yeah.
What's medium term? What's our timeline?
Medium term is anything from about 3 to maybe 5 years, 5 to 7 years. Those are medium term goals.
What's long term?
And long term is anything beyond 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So this is an aha moment for me as well, because 3 years is long. Actually, now that you
Yeah.
that you
We're in
consider it.
immediate gratification. We're in the era of
Yes,
immediate
that's
gratification.
true.
So,
Yeah. I sent a Viber message. Now everybody's remote, right? And I sent a Viber message to a teammate, and 10 minutes later, she hasn't still responded to me. And I'm saying, come on, people, where are you? So I
uh-huh.
totally relate to that.
Yeah.
We
That's so
expect
funny.
that.
Okay.
I just sent it. I saw the green marks. It's been read. I need your answer now so I can. Unfortunately, when it comes to financial goals, 3 years is short term. So please do not. And it's okay to have short-term goals, but just use the right instrument for it. Okay, so
Okay.
for short-term goals, just save up for it. Okay, just put it in a savings account. So this is what savings accounts are good for, right? Savings accounts or even time deposits. Yeah, tiered time deposit. So vacation. Okay, vacation is a good one because everybody is in revenge travel mode now. So, how do you save for your holidays? Okay. So, the rule of thumb for vacations, holidays is about 1 month of your annual salary. One
Oh,
month.
I like that.
Yes. So, it's about 8% of your total yearly income. So, if you're earning
Oh,
40,000 pesos a month, so 40,000, that's the simplest way to do it. 40,000 is your travel fund for the year.
I've never heard that. And that is that's such a good just like measure of if I'm being excessive or if I'm being, overly koripot.
Right. So along that vein, sorry, it's a little bit of a side thing as well. But since we talked about some benchmarks, and I guess a lot of people also, if you want to maximize your what you're earning now, how do you actually allocate versus my spending now, your basic spending. So just follow I have three buckets, right? So I call it BFF. So B stands for your basics, yeah. F1, the first F stands for future, okay, and the third F stands for fun. Okay, so BFF, that's easy enough to remember. BFF, basics, future, and fun. And the way you allocate is about 50 to 60% on your basics, yeah,
Okay.
50 to 60% on your basics, about 20% on your fun, yeah,
Okay.
and 20 to 30% on future. So future includes your emergency fund, insurance, investments, especially for long-term goals. So since we talked about vacations, that falls under fun, yeah. So yeah, you can have a vacation plus other things. Yeah, you can have a vacation plus a holiday, or as Vil said in the private chat, she can have 2 or 3 vacations with that. So fun is about
Like
20%.
us, we can have like 20.
20, yes, if we could, right? So yeah, and then basics. So these are things to maintain your life, right? Not your lifestyle, just your life. So no salon visits and your Netflix subscription. That is not basic, right? So these are things like housing, transport, utilities, food and groceries. So that's about 50 to 60%. Yeah. So basic 60%, fun is 20, future is 20 to 30%. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's I guess one strategy as well to talk about to plan for your goals. So holidays, about 1 month salary.
Okay.
Now, what if you want to go on more holidays or you want more fun stuff? Yeah.
Yep.
Luckily, you're not limited by your 9 to 5. You can do side gigs, and that's really quite
Yep. Yep. Yep.
acceptable now. You can do
Yep.
freelance work, and then you can put that either I still suggest some of it goes into your future retirement funds and stuff like that. But you can use some of those for things that you want to do to have fun.
Yeah. I think so. Again, see, I promised everybody they would learn today. I'm still learning. I've been on this Bixie journey for, almost 2 years and I'm still learning. I love it. BFF. BFF, 1 month of salary is my vacation. And if you're Koripot, that's like 3 vacations. BFF.
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
so helpful. I also think by looking at these buckets, going back to kind of this idea of this like inflation stress that everybody's under,
Yeah.
I would almost venture to say, everybody go to your buckets right now and see what you can start cutting. Like,
Right.
what are basics, what is future, and what is fun. Now, don't kill all the fun in your life, because
Yes,
everybody knows it's not
absolutely.
sustainable, right? Crash dieting is not sustainable. But I think this is a good way to just take stock right now of my basics, my future, and my fun, and look at what you're spending on. Take it as an opportunity to maybe cut out things that aren't necessary, and also look at it as an opportunity of being like, what does my future look like? Like, do I have inflation beating strategies therein, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it's such a simple thing to do. So we often say, so like we have, a worksheet, a kind of interactive game on our app. And when we come down to budgeting, we always tell everybody, like, look, just literally make it a fun day, make it a day. I do this. Don't just say, oh, I have to look at my money today. No, no, no. Sunday, we call it self-care Sunday. Get a cup of tea, turn on some music. Tell yourself, I'm going to take care of myself. And this is the best way to do it on this afternoon on a Sunday, and make it an event. And you will start seeing, if you do this once every quarter, at least, you will not only start seeing, you'll start getting less money anxiety, because you'll have awareness of where everything is going. You'll start to get a better handle on your finances. I know that our audience has, and myself included, have a lot of like stick our head in the sand and don't look at
Yeah.
what's going on, but just getting regularly stressed out and anxious about things. I think what Jux is really advocating, particularly in this session about goal setting, you have to look it in the face. Like, we have to stare at everything in the face. So don't freak out. Make a goal. Be like, okay, I went to this event on Thursday, this Sunday. So one of the things we've noticed is, like, there's a cadence and a rhythm to how people enter the Vixie community. So this is a little bit of interesting data we've been gathering. So Thursdays are our highest download days, naturally, because we have people, they show up to an event, they're really like, okay, we want to do something. Oh, sorry. No, let me actually take this back. Thursdays, we have high attendance. So on average, about 1,000 people, but we've had up to 8,000 people show up to these events. Right. So that's really interesting. And by the way, we started with like 75, right? But it's all thanks to amazing women like Jux. Like, this is the meat of it. People show up. Then on Friday, we start to see a traffic goes up in terms of looking at our website. People are like, okay, what's this all about? The weekend passes, you can tell, like, there's a stress level, and then it's Monday is the highest download day. Because Monday they're like, I'm gonna get myself together. Like, I'm gonna start my week off taking care of myself and doing the right thing, right?
Yeah.
So here's what I ask of everybody. Why don't you, like, today, obviously, you're looking at things. You can go online. You can learn all about us. You can learn all about Jokes. You can actually see all of our expert conversations. Download the Vixie app today. Just do that quickly. Listen to all of the different experts' advice. This Sunday, like, tell yourself on Sunday between 2 and 4, pick like a 2-hour window. I'm actually going to sit there and look at my BFF piles. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to pour a cup of tea, right? And I'm just going to look at this. I'm going to find a quiet space. I'm just going to look at my BFF piles. And then I'm going to put them away. I've looked at them, put them away. And then on Monday, I'm going to take some actions. I think it's just really important, like you're saying about goal creation, to be just intentional that this is just part of self-care. Sometimes we have to exercise, and sometimes we have to deal with our money, but we just can't never exercise, and we just can't never deal with our money, right? Like, we have to do it at some point. So I think that's the BFF pile. I'm going to do it. I love it. That's, instead of all these complicated budgets, I'm just going to be like, BFF, done. So with all that being said, could you maybe, one of the things that we do every week, obviously, is a practical walk-away tool that people can take with them. Can you walk us through a goal-setting exercise? I would love to know.
Right. So I actually used the Vixie app for that. So before I do that, how much time do we have left, literally?
We have 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Right. I'm just going to spend maybe just give me a few minutes because you brought up a really good point, and July is really about inflation and where you really see inflation and the impact of inflation is when you plan for retirement. So so I'll give you an example. I'll talk you through an example of how to plan for retirement, and then I'll share my screen because I actually did some screenshots of goal setting, not so much for retirement, but for other goals using the Bixby app because I found it really, really useful. Yeah. So retirement, let's just talk about retirement and inflation. So for example, if now you are 30, and so there are three things you need to determine about retirement, right? So you have to know the when, the how much you need by the time you retire, and a third is how much you need to start saving now so you will have that amount when you retire. Because remember, when you retire, or at least from your day job, you will not be having a steady stream of income, so you need to save up what you need for the next 25, 30 years by the time that you retire. Okay, so the when, so if
Just
you
want to
are,
actually
go ahead.
jump in there. We have a version of it, a really raw version called your Bixby number, and it's based off of the fire calculation. If you go in
Right.
the app, you can just plug in some numbers, and we can tell you how much you need to save every month. Now,
Okay.
don't let it freak you out. Actually, every member on the Bixby team has done it, and it's been really funny. Like one of our team members was like, "Okay, I need to get a side hustle, right?" And so that kind of allows you to dictate, if you want to retire by 50 or you want to retire by 60 or 40,
Yeah.
you have some work to do, right? What we call that the
Yeah.
number, the most important number.
So that's good. I will check it out right after this. But I'm sure it's based on the same principles. So first you need to know when you want to retire. So if you're 30 now, you want to retire at 60. So that's 30 years. So that's 2052. Okay. So that's question number one answered. So that's the easy one. That's the easy part. Now, how much do you need to have saved up by 2052 or by the time you're 60? And the way to, and this is really, prone to misinterpretation because a lot of people think, oh, when I retire, I'm not going to spend that much because I won't have a
Yes.
mortgage, I don't have kids, and I just stay at home and I don't need to,
Yeah.
that is absolutely untrue because yes, you won't have your mortgage and you won't be putting kids through school, but you will most likely want to go on holidays. You will
Mhm.
want to be able to treat your grandchildren or your children to gifts. You may have health concerns that are not covered by your health insurance. So, for to be not even conservative, to be realistic, get what you are spending now and project that to 30 years from now. So I actually did a calculation for you to demonstrate how much inflation impacts. Okay, so if your living expenses now this year 2022 is 23,000 pesos. Okay, and by the time in 30 years, 2052, that same 23,000 pesos, because of inflation and assuming about 3.5% inflation a year, will be equivalent to 65,000 pesos. Okay, so 23,000, what you're spending now, 23,000 to maintain that level of lifestyle it will cost you 65,000 by the time you retire. Okay, so the calculation doesn't end there. So now you have to take that 65,000 and say, okay, 2052, I retire, I will need 65,000, but I need that for 25 to 30 years, right? So you now
Yeah.
multiply
Yeah. Yeah.
65 by 25 years, right? 65 times 12 times 25. And that is 19.5, roughly 19.5 million pesos. So do not underestimate how much you will need for retirement. And that's all because of inflation. Okay, so now you have a number of when I will retire, that's in 30 years, and how much I need, that's 19.5 million pesos if you're spending roughly 23,000 pesos now. And then the next number you will need is how much do I start saving now for that amount, right? So if you just do the simple math, you will end up with a number that's 53,000, okay, to get to 19.5 million. And obviously that is not possible because if you're spending 23,000 now, you're probably earning 35 to 40,000. So 53,000 ain't going to happen. Okay. And that's
Oh,
really where. So it really depends. That last number of how much do I need to spend to save now depends on two things. One is when you start saving, okay, and two, what instrument you use. And I think we've talked extensively about this. So first, when you start saving, so if you need 19.5 million, okay, when you retire and you start in your 20s, believe it or not, you will only need to set aside 7,000 pesos per month. Yes, for your retirement to get 19.5. Okay, so that's compound, the time value of money and the compound effect, right? If you start, so 20s, you start saving at 7K per month. If you start in your 30s, and that's where most of our community is, 30s,
yes.
you need to start setting aside 17,000 per month. Okay, if you're in your 40s now, you will
Right.
have, yeah, it's 40. It's going to have, you're going to have to save $40,000. And if you're 50s, meaning you're 10 years from retirement, you'll have to save up 120,000. So the point there is that the earlier you start, the less you will have to save,
Yeah.
to set aside. Okay, so get started early. So that's half the equation. The second part of the equation is what instrument you put it in. So, for example, you're 30 now and you need 19.5 in 30 years. So now you have to start saving 17,000 per month. Now, that's assuming that you are actually investing at a rate of about 9 to 10% return, right? So if you put this in your bank account, the 17,000 assumes that you are putting it in you're investing it in
Yeah.
now in stocks and shares, okay? And you're yielding conservatively about 9 to 10%. You can yield, or you can return, higher, 14 to 15%, but just to be conservative, it's about 9 to 10%. Okay. However, if you put that, if you're only putting it in a savings account, guess what? You'll have to actually save up 35,000 pesos per month. So it doubles. Okay. So
Mhm.
two, it's about timing. When? So the earlier you start, the lesser you have to set aside. Two, the faster the instrument that you use, then also the less you have to set aside. Okay.
Mhm.
So I guess I just wanted to bring home that point about long-term goals, especially retirement and the impact of inflation.
Yeah. I think you brought it home. Now that everybody is shocked and awed and terrified, what can we do to start this? Because I think one of
Right.
the biggest questions that we have had, not only at these meetups, at our in-person events, is like, when do I start? And the answer is always now. So
Yeah.
it's 33 years old and you're starting today. Okay, what do I do?
Yes. So good question. So I'm actually sharing my slides. So maybe Vil or Eunice, if you can share my screen. Um, okay. So this is actually the Bixi app, and what they need to do is go to the games section. I really like the fact that you put it under games, because it kind of demystified it and made it less scary. It's not in the, let's get serious side. It is, it needs to be gamified.
Yeah.
So yeah, go to the games section, okay, games tab, and then click on my goals, okay. Then once you get there, you will actually see different kinds of goals. So you have, let me just move this. So you have housing, so that's medium to long term, food, insurance, travel, healthcare, savings. So I chose to look at travel because we all want to go somewhere in the next few months, right? So I chose travel. So once you click on that goal, it will bring you to these details. It will ask you about details. So create a goal. I said I want to go to Thailand, and I want that goal description to be birthday in Thailand. You can also name it really fun things. So I would go to town with how you describe your goals, right? And I want to do that a year from now. And once you enter that goal amount, so I want to spend 75,000 for that. Okay. Now the Bixi app tells you, okay, now I need to save 1,500 per month to get to 75,000 in 365 days. So that's 1,500 pesos per month or 6,250 pesos per month. Sorry, 1,500 per week and 6,200 per month. So that's super helpful because, yeah, it kind of crystallizes for me. 75 is such a big number, but if you break it down, hey, it's not so bad, or it's still kind of a large amount. But now I know what to do. Okay, I need to get a side job that will give me 1,500 weekly, right? Or I need to set aside that amount from my salary. Okay. So now once you've done that, just press continue and you will, yeah, you will get this summary page where it says, okay, travel to Thailand and you will save 75 in 52 weeks. Okay. Now you shouldn't stop there, okay, because Bixi also has this function where you can add a transaction. Okay, so if you have gathered some money already, you did a side gig, or you're deliberately setting aside, say, 5,000 pesos from your salary towards your holiday, put that in. Say add transaction. Okay, put in the amount. Okay, I tested it. I didn't put anything, and then that's why it told me, okay, this field cannot be empty. Fair enough. Okay, and then I say add a transaction. Okay. And then there it's added for me and it's now shown. I'm so happy because now it's shown me that I'm 6% towards my goal. Okay, so 5,000 saved so far for 75,000, and it's put the transaction history there. So now when I go back to my goals page, okay, then you can actually see here my keyboard is here. You can now see that, okay, these are my two goals, and for my Thailand trip I have 70,000 to go, right? So one, it's not in it's good to start with writing things down, but with goals it's really helpful to visualize them, have a mood board. So I consider this feature of Bixi as my dream board, right? Because these are where all my dreams, my goals reside, right? They're not in some notebook, but it's really right there, right in front of me, and I can see it every week, every month, and I can review how far I've gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I found it really useful. So come this weekend or Monday, really try it out, and I will try the fire exercise, the fire feature.
The Bixi number.
Uh,
Yep.
the
Try it out.
Bixi number, yes. Yeah.
And I
So
think what's
that's
also,
really
we also designed this. See that little icon on the right? You can share this because one thing that we know is that goals shared with friends are goals achieved better and faster and with more fun.
right,
So one
right.
thing, particularly with travel goals, you know how often we're like, oh, I want to travel with some of my friends. Set up these things together and monitor each other. It's not about pointing fingers. It's really about encouraging each other along our way, because I know personally these things can be so daunting and so
Yeah.
anxiety ridden, and it really helps to have community around you for that.
That's true. I mean,
Yeah.
setting aside money, managing money, saving, investing, they're a lot like, losing weight
Oh,
or exercising.
yes.
You
Yeah.
really need an accountability
Yep.
partner for this. So the more people that know about it,
Yep.
the more likely you will get to it.
Absolutely.
Good.
100%.
So I'll stop sharing. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I mean, thanks. We didn't even ask Jokes to plug the app, but I'm really glad that you found that the goal setting function is really helpful. So, if I were to kind of summarize our discussion today, I would say that obviously we're in inflation. Inflation might feel like it's beating us, but we're able to beat it, right? We can, a lot of the times, these things like inflation, they seem so out of our control because they are out of our control. There's global forces happening, they're not in our control. So what you have to ask yourself, what can I actually do? And I think what Drux has really underlined today is you can do something that's really not contingent upon anybody else. Some things like, oh, I have to invest, I have to talk to a manager. You can set goals. You can set goals for yourself. And I know that a lot of the times goals can themselves seem out of reach. But I'll give an example. Like there was this this event that I went to, and it was literally something that I would never imagine myself ever doing in my entire life. And the coach basically said, "This is going to be the hardest thing any of you guys ever do. It's going to be really painful." We were, full disclosure, we were climbing a mountain, a very large mountain. I've never done this. It was a 4,000-meter mountain. And she's like, "It's going to be really painful. It's going to really hurt. You're going to want to quit many times. And all you have to ask yourself is, can I take one more step? Just one more step." So I think what you have really illustrated today, Jokes, is a lot of things are out of our control. Some things are like, I literally can't do this. I've never done this before. Just ask yourself, can I take one more step? And I'm pretty sure you can take the step of, you can download an app, you can write out a goal, and you can add where you add some numbers in. Like each one is one step. And the thing is about these steps that you take, they create inertia. And eventually these steps make it such that you've now, climbed an entire mountain. And I think so much of this is really reflective of Jokes' own journey. For those of you who don't know, Jokes began her financial journey as a novice. She was the daughter of university professors, am I right? Who taught her
Yes.
nothing about money, and who themselves who found themselves in a bit of a pickle. And Jokes kind of sat back and asked herself, how are two really smart, ostensibly professionally successful people in such a financial quagmire? And she began her own first step, building these steps. And it's all of these small steps that result in, multiple books about finances, an entire company about finances, and being able to address an audience like ourselves with really helpful, realistic, tangible advice that comes from a place of how her own journey began with one simple step. So I really, once again, thank you so much, Jokes, for sharing your journey, your knowledge with us. I always walk away with something. So thank you so much for that. I will be BFFing. I will be looking at 1 month salary for vacations from now on, probably for 3 vacations. And I will forever have it etched in my mind what a short-term goal really is. So we will be compiling all of this amazing knowledge. We'll be compiling it. Our community managers will put it inside of the Bixie app in our Bixie community for all of you to download, share with friends, read over the weekend. I thank you so much to everybody in the community for joining us. Every Thursday, we're here at 6:30 p.m., bringing you incredible women and incredible people like Jokes to impart their knowledge to hopefully make your lives better and more empowered. So this concludes the end of our Strictly Inflation series, but it doesn't really end there because we know inflation is still on everybody's mind. So the next 3 months are actually going to be dedicated to one part of inflation beating strategies. So quiz time, and this comes with Bixie rewards, okay? So and for those of you, I'm going to give you guys a hint. I'll give you guys the full disclosure. 1 month ago, we had a speaker come on from MoneyFit. His name was Kaming. The video is available in the Bixie app. He gave 4 strategies to beat inflation. Like super simple, super critical. So what we're doing is every month, we're doing 1 month dedicated to each prong of that strategy and bringing on unbelievable speakers to share that particular tranche. So you will be given a Bixie prize if you go into the community right now inside of the app, download the app, go to community, go to live events, and write what you think one of the 4 strategies is. We'll give away 4 prizes. And so write down what you think these strategies are. The first 4 who answer correctly at least one of those strategies wins a prize. So thank you so much, Jokes, once again. Eunice, over to you to conclude. Have a wonderful evening to everybody who joined us. And we'll, of course, be downloading all of this information, putting inside the app, and then also recording this session and putting in the app for those who want to watch it over the next few days. Thank you so much and have a wonderful night.
Good evening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Salya, and thank you so much, Miss Jocks, for another fruitful and very, yes, very fruitful discussion. Actually, fruitful is an understatement. I actually learned a lot, not a thing or two, but I learned so much, and I learned that, oh my goodness, I think I should not eat, I should not buy anything for me to be able to save up for retirement. Oh my gosh, I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I living this life? So there. So thank you very much, Miss Jox and Miss Rosario, once again. So let me plug a few things about the app and about Bixi in general. So first, we have here Bix coins. So you can exchange your like Bix coins for actual rewards. So for worth 2,500 Bix coins, you get $1,000 journal, or it's also a financial journal. Then next, for worth 3,500 Bix coins, you get a pop socket or a tumbler or a echo bag and a drift shirt. And for worth 4,000 Bix coins, you get free one-on-one financial coaching. Now, I know everyone's asking, how and where can I get these free Bix coins? Now, of course, all you have to do is to first, refer the app to your friends, to your colleagues. All you have to do is just open the app, go to Hot Deals, swipe left, swipe right. Then you will see your referral code. All you have to do is to copy and to paste and to spread the word. Spread the word to your friends, and they will automatically download the app with the referral code already included. And once they download the app, you will earn instant 100 Bix coins per referral. So with your friends downloading it as well, they can also do the same. A copy and paste the referral code, and there. So next, yes, by learning, you will also earn your Bix coins. So all you have to do is to go to games, just like what Miss Jox mentioned a while ago. And thank you very much for exploring and for using our app. So all you have to do is go to games, play all of the games that's in there, and you will earn, I guess, 1,000 Bix coins, because I've played everything already, so I cannot play it anymore. So I've earned so much coins. So that's one of the ways on how you can earn coins. And also, if you go to the community section and comment on the circles automatically for every post and for every comment of yours, you will earn 50 Bix coins. So there, we also have Kaalamang Pang Pinansyal. It's a Filipino version game of all the financial games that we have inside the Bixi app. Then for our hot deals, you can also have your discounted special price of your favorite essential oil, Joy in a Bottle, if you will purchase that exclusively via the Bixi app. So next, of course, if you want to have your perfect coffee fix, you can buy your jurisprudence and get exclusive discount only when you purchase it via the app. So now, next is we are looking for Bixi ambassadors and who can spread the word in their own cities, in their own barangays, or in their own place about Bixi, and can encourage people to download the app. So all you have to do is just PM us on Facebook or on Instagram, and we will share you the details. And last but not the least, of course, just like what Mr. Salia mentioned a while ago, I would just like to hype the download. Yes, the app is free, absolutely free on Google Store and on App Store. Feel free to download the app and sign up. And I hope that this talk would really, really encourage you to download and to use the app. So what are you waiting for, guys? All you have to do is scan and download the app. And that's it for me and for us for tonight for another episode of Beat It. Girls just want to have fun with Miss Jox Fantastico. Thank you very much. And of course, with our CEO, Miss Rosalia Gitao. So for everyone who's here watching, thank you very much. And I hope we can get to encourage more viewers, and more app users for the rest of the day. So good night, everyone, and happy Thursday. Bye.
Bye.